private investigators get paid on the amount of work that they pretend to do, according to their hours that they set themselves, and the price that they set themselves on a risk basis that they set themselves, to catch criminals for the police, and they bring up their own investigations, and they carry out their own work, and then they present it to police officers in an attempt to get paid. That is not usually how it works. Usually the way it works is that the police will hire an investigator and ask them to do some legwork on catching a criminal. Usually the way that investigators work is that they are told this is the criminal, this is their crime, this is the evidence that we have against them, but to bring them to justice we need more evidence. We need to be able to put them at the scene of the crime, or we need to be able to put them with the person that had their weapon carried, and so they get paid only for putting the person at the crime scene, or for having an aggravated relationship with the victim, or the victim's family, and that is all that they get paid for. So they don't get paid a lot of money because it's not risky work. The private detectives, not private detectives, the police detectives, the city detectives for the police, they are the ones that take on the heat of the investigation. The heat of the investigation. What the fuck is that? They are the ones that take on the risk of investigating a criminal, or a crime, or anything like that. And then the private investigators only are called to confirm the identity of the person, to have a second truthful opinion, because it is true that somebody that looks like somebody else could look like a complete different person, and so to have beyond reasonable doubt evidence, the private investigators are hired to literally say, yes, this person is the same person that you were following, that you have on file. And so private investigators are now trying to do it the other way, where they present a crime to the police and say, hey, this crime right here is committed by this person, and this is the crime that they did, and we would like to get paid under our hours, under our time, under our risk factor. And so for that to happen, first of all, the risk factor must be very high. I would presume that the same as in construction, and if I remember correctly, this was taught in class, that the risk factor must be very, very high. And also the hours must be very, very long, and the work that they do must be very much highly involved. So to make this investigation worth any money against me, first they have to prove that I am a risk to the investigators themselves, because they have every right and every motive to come and question me, but they don't, because the risk factor must be high for them to get paid a lot. Secondly, they use different means of communication to be able to send to police saying, hey, we could not just hack this guy. We had to do a lot of things. We couldn't just screen mirror him because he was doing different things. And so we had to investigate him in a completely different way. And so they're saying, and so now the hours that they put in, they have to say, well, we didn't just put hours in on him, we put hours in on his work, and we had to do very detailed observations and even it out and see how this cyber criminal is capable of, with his writing, had the ability to perform such tremendous tasks and such tremendous crimes. Now, since I was not present in any computer or phone, they must also prove that through my mental illness, I was somehow capable of destroying and coding an entire internet system, which is, of course, highly ridiculous. But it is not if you are trying to get paid millions of dollars. Now, you would think that money is the only reason. Well, money is not the only reason. Here in Canada, private investigators are trying to be the police. Defund the police, and start is a movement by these very same private investigators. Defund the police is private investigators trying to get the money out of policing the police and hopefully get stopping crime. Now, in Canada, there is not a lot of crime. Here in Vancouver, there hasn't been an announcement of someone getting killed. So they have to portray their own crimes for them to get paid. Now, to be a private investigator, you take a 2-week class that is 3 hours long in a school that is taught by other private investigators. Then you get your security guard license as per the province that you are investigating in, and then you have to advance that security guard license, get gun training, get close quarter personal training. There's a lot of trainings that you must take, including CPR, first aid, of course, and a lot level 2 or level 3, because CPR first training you get as a security guard, but you need like CPR level 2 and level 3 to deal with gunshot wounds and whatnot. As a private investigator, you need to be able to disarm a person. You need to know how to wear protective equipment, and you need to get all of this, of course, certified by the province where you are working here in Canada. It's not a national thing. It's not an international. It's just the province. So these private investigators are trying to go through all of this law by presenting me as a case of the instance where they need an international license, where they need to be specially licensed to be able to pursue a criminal. This, of course, comes from Ontario Secondary Security, where the leader of the owner, I believe, he might be the owner or he might be just the head of the department in East Scarborough. His story is of a man that shot at him, ran out of bullets, then he turns around while drunk. Of course, he omits the part that he was at a party till 4 o'clock in the morning drinking, and somehow he omits the part that he was drunk. But he chases after this criminal who had a gun, and then he chases him following his cell phone all the way to Sault Ste. Marie, I believe, some island in Sault Ste. Marie, where he completely and absolutely defies all laws of pertaining to investigation to the police, and of deferring the investigation to the police, and of deferring the investigation to the Ontario police and not just the Toronto police. And then he goes and places this criminal in jail at an island that I'm pretty sure would probably be a sovereign island, sovereign land. Now, the age is not given, but in his story, neither is his race. Now, this could very well be a sovereign citizen. Why the gunfire started is also not given. It's just the fact that there was gunshot wounds, and that not gunshot wounds, that there was gunshots, and the man chased after a man who he believed to have a gun. I am sure that the man who owns that blue and white airplane with a ponytail is quite highly likely the man who took my family, some very young girls that claim to be my family because that is what they were taught to be, at a very young age, twins, and sacrificed them as meat, and disappeared several of their siblings and family members, real family members and children, and group of underage girls in Calgary that then I found out were butchered to begin with at Emmanuel's meat shop in Marlborough. However, it was not there. That's where the first butchering happened, but it spread. So I am sure that Ontario Security, OSS, Ontario Security Services, Ontario Security Services, that the owner, or that the leader of Ontario Security Services, who lives in Warden and Lawrence, and south of Lawrence on Warden, and carries carries with him a big pickup truck, and is very proud of all the money that he spends on his tools. As a matter of fact, I actually did learn to take more pride in my tools and buys my own tools because of him, because he really was proud of all the equipment that he has to put on when he has to go and kick a door in on a criminal. Now, when it comes to kicking a door in on a criminal, there was also an instant where I had fled the Ontario Security Services, and they came at me with a helicopter with an entire squadron. I believe it was 3 door knocking squadrons, and they saw me as they were eating lunch at Halal Pizza Place on College, not College, the one that turns from College into something else, and east of Yonge. There's a halal meat there, and I walked by them, and they all saw me. And that same day, knowing that they were learning from me by investigating me and using very high energy devices that are, I don't know if they're prohibited or not, but they are they are basically, go gadget, when you have that little satellite dish. So they were using the satellite dish, except they had it on really, really high energy output. With a high energy output like that, what actually happens is that it messes up your physical energy, and it completely changes the way that person is behaving if the energy that is being sent is sent on a negative wavelength. Now, negative wavelengths, I know from the fact that there is interference protectors on the aviation fields to protect from negative energies that are derived from other electrical currents within the same airplane. So I know a little about negative energies, and these negative energies are actually what the dark web runs on. The dark web runs on. You have to first pre-install a certain browser, which they call the Onion browser, but there's several of them. And the Onion browser, I think, is actually like tracked. Like, it's the safest browser to surf the dark web on. But there are several dark web browsers. Now, I had a pop-up of a dark web browser on my downloads from from Play Store on a thing, on a account that I had in free mode. So I didn't have personalized advertisements on it. I had it in free advertisements to advertise to me what I should download depending on whatever was around. And it said that it was due to location and other things. Now, there are many uses for negative energy to be used and pertained in a world where you are not trying to overthrow the policing system of the government that is in place. But the goal of it being money is a very highly attractive goal that to look at and for you to get distracted by. But these people are the same private investigators that conduct riots. They conduct riots, they conduct marches, they conduct monthly marches they operate them. They bring about a movement saying that the system is broken, that the system is not working. That's what they like to say, that they need a minimum wage of $1,000 per person here in Canada. I live off of $1,300 to $1,700 here in Canada, and I tell you, it is not enough. So what is their point? Well, first, they have to bring down the police. They bring down the police and they put themselves as their own private investigators. Next, they say that the government itself is not supplying enough for the people, and the people, being themselves, are acting out because they don't get enough money. Now, when they don't get enough money, they start behaving erratically and doing things out of the normal. Now, these private investigators are not even are actually conducting riots. Is their main way of changing the government and of getting people to be by their side. They tell you things like, the system is broken, I am a broken man, I'm a part of the system, therefore the system is broken. Now that right there is very contradictory, but when people see that, they say that is true, and then truth comes behind them and supports them. And the spirit of the Bible and truth is a powerful spirit that we know nothing about. Now, these private investigators are not just trying to go and bring down the government, they are trying to change the law. Since 2013, when I went to school, there have been over 27 changes to the law in Ontario for private investigating. Now, the last 6 changes that occurred happened since 2009. No, not 2009 was the next one. So 2013, before that there was one in 2010, 2009, and 2002. So for 10 years there has been about 6 to 8 changes to the law. And then all of a sudden, since 2013 to 2023, there are about like 27 to 30 something changes to the law in Ontario, all for private investigating. I wanted to look up to see what were really their rights, and then I saw the ridiculous amount of changes to the law. Now, you have people that are kicking down your door, and they come in and they say, I want to help you, young female whose husband, boyfriend, or son just got arrested. Now, since your father just got arrested, let me help you. I am of the system. I am of the police. And these men then seduce the woman, the females of the household, into being their sexual life partners. In doing so, they gather quite an amount of beautiful, powerful females dedicated to actually making the system better. Now, I don't know if you have ever faced one of those people that will tell you that, let's say, that will drive and honk at you, right? They will honk so much for you to take their spot on you know what, there it is. You know when you're parked at a parking spot and you see somebody standing there and yelling that it is their parking spot? That is who these men are. They are stand there yelling that is their parking spot. Now, having their love affair, having their fathers, their brothers, their husbands, their children in jail due to these men gives these women the fear to not, in fact, actually act out against these professional door kickers. Not because they say, I will never hit a woman. Maybe not, but you will act erratically because of her denying that there is a problem with the system. And then to go out to outings, you do not see them going out to go and have a meal. You see them going out to family enhancing and family growth activities, like having a riot, like going to group meetings and going in a march. Now, the marches that they go to start out easy. They start out very small. And here's the thing. There are many females in a household. And so you cannot necessarily sexually and amorously get a woman involved, but you can get their mothers involved. And you can get their grandmothers involved. And now that their mothers and their grandmothers are involved in this investigation, now the female is very much pertained to doing as they are told and being with these men amorously. This is how these men behave. Now, when I came about back in 2013, I was nothing. The only thing that I was a guy that would talk to girls about their donut choices and their and how there was Boston cream was our favorite donut. Now, here's the thing. These men do not know how to tell you, oh my gosh, your favorite donut is Boston cream too? They can't do that. They cannot do that. They are not able to actually tell you that they have something in common with you, because they do not. They do not have something in common with you. And it is fear that is making these women be the the strong wood, the fire within, the amber and the flame, they are nothing but the rock surrounding the fire pit. Everything else inside of them is all female involvement, because they are doing the hard task of facing off against a terrorist and a criminal against a terrorist and a criminal organization that knows their ways of going to a class of being uh, of being a security guard, a class which I did not even go to the government to accredit myself with, because I ain't no fucking security guard. What the fuck? If I was gonna be something, I would be a police officer. Are they police officers? No, but they made the fire underneath the police officers so hot that it burnt them down, and now they are trying to remain in a sort of private investigation. No, this is not a private investigation. This is them trying to save themselves for the millions of people eaten, not killed, eaten in Calgary because of them, with the man with the airplane with a blue stripe from OSS, Ontario Security Services. That is who is behind all of this. That is why they are chasing me. That is why I am living on the streets, and that is why I am mentally retarded. Because these men told the world that I was a horrible person, because they judged me, they measured me, they weighed me like the Bible says, right in their classes, right while I was in school with them, because I was meant to be a piece of garbage to step on, and I decided to get myself an education. So if you are following along with this, go ahead, do what they want you to do. If they paying you the money straight up front, we all do our dirty work. Don't worry about that. But you know what you gotta go do? Gotta go get yourself some school, some real college education, because they will teach you the secrets that will make you rise in this world. Go get yourself a college education, because I highly doubt that there are many of us that are left that have gone through the high school process for this past 5 years. So go be, it's called being a mature student, an adult student, and you can probably find a way to swing this around if you are the exact opposite of who they are. They are the reason for this terrorist time, the reason that you are watching this on camera, the reason that you are not speaking to me, and the reason why you hate yourself for what you have done. I am so sorry that these people exist.